Hey everyone, PC Casual Gaming Dad here, and it's been a little bit. It's been a couple of months since I've watched the development updates from Ashes of Creation, so I'd like to catch up on that. Today I'm going to do the February update, and I believe tomorrow I will do the March update, which they both look pretty interesting. So let's take a look. Let's make sure everything looks good. Developer update, yes, okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our glorious Ashes of Creation February development update. We hope that you are all well and safe.
Hello,
Today,
Margaret.
I am joined by, of course, our one and only creative director, Stephen Sharif. And we have a new face
Hey.
with us, Brian Langford, who is our executive producer and celebrating his 3-year anniversary today. Just like
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
it works. How are you?
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. What do they say? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I can't believe this lined up perfectly for your 3-year anniversary at the studio.
I know it's amazing. So
That is
I'm
pretty
honored to
cool.
be
That's
here.
pretty
Thanks
cool.
for having me on.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think I think that people are going to have a fun time kind of listening in on the aspect of development that is production, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how much of a pivotal role you and the production team play in the process. So I think the audience is going to be pretty excited to hear from you.
Of
Cool.
course.
Yeah.
And can we show puppers? He also has a
Oh
dog. I feel like
gosh.
we have to show the puppers
Yeah.
because
Hold on. Sorry. I'm
he
gonna.
doesn't want to
But it'll make
see.
motion sickness here.
Ah, Luna.
Oh,
Oh,
There's
There's
Luna.
Luna.
that's a good girl.
Aw.
She's sleeping.
She's like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
so funny
All right,
story
For
about
sure.
Luna is I don't remember when did we do our gameathon, Brian, where we
let's go to the
released
production
With
update
that, I
next.
think we're going to swap over to chatting with Brian Langford, our special guest today.
Yay!
Yay.
Mr. Executive Producer. Tell us kind of like, let's first start with what is production? What does production do
Well, actually,
exactly?
wait, before we
Ooh,
even begin there, Brian,
okay.
tell me about what brought you into the gaming industry.
Ooh,
Oh
okay, I
my
like that.
gosh. Wow. My whole life I've spent playing games. From the early 80s with my dad playing board games up through and all, getting console games and PlayStation and computer games and
Fun.
realistic.
I got a Nintendo when I was 5, and I beat Save the Princess when I was 5. So I've been playing all my life.
Fun fact about Brian, by the way, you mentioned board games.
Yep.
Brian is an exceptional tabletop gamer. Whether
Oh,
it's
thank you.
board games or his own creation of a economy card game I was playing with him, like he is a very exceptional. We were playing Lords of Waterdeep the other day, and I was just like, okay, Brian, get
I love
some.
I love Lords of Waterdeep. It's a good game. Yeah. So I mean, passion has been always there for gaming and tabletop RPGs. So the blend naturally, of course, is D&D and fantasy games like that that led me into wanting to be a part of the gaming industry. So I think maybe the best in the 90s and early 2000s I played a ton of StarCraft and Diablo and Blizzard games,
There you go.
and I
A
was
lot of us did.
doing web design for a more corporate job, and I was like, I really just need to break into the game industry. And so I tried my hand to get into Blizzard for I think over a year and a half or 2 years. Finally got in there and stayed there for 11 years and switched over into the production track away from sort of web design and web development stuff. So yeah, and then 11 years later I left there and I went to NC Soft for a while, worked on Blade and Soul and a couple other titles there, and now I've found my new home, my
Yay.
home, my forever home.
Yeah.
So, what is it about production that attracted you to want to be a producer?
So that's an interesting story, to some degree, anyways, I guess. I started in production in the cinematics group at Blizzard, and the high fidelity pre rendered cinematics were just the thing of Blizzard at the time, right? So it was a
They
opportunity
have
to
great
get put in
cinematics,
some of
that's for
the
sure.
the coolest jobs possible. So pretty cool cats there in the production field before switching gears, right? Before leaving that group. So that's what really got me into production is being a part of that cool team. And then again, just once I learned all the production routes, it was my wings were intact. It was time to fly.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So most people don't really probably know what production provides a development team during development. How would you go about explaining that role and what your team brings to a development process?
I love that question because that's the question I always get. Because people don't really, I mean, I know our community is super savvy, and so they probably already know this stuff. But the question I get from people that are not, in gaming and in the industry and stuff, they say, "What the heck does a producer even do? What do you do? What do you?" So what we do for the most part, like our underlying most important mission is supporting the development team and the process of development, right? And that takes on several hats. But primarily, it's making sure that we measure twice, cut once, look at things, work with leads to unblock any kind of problems they're having, set up dependencies so that people can keep, these buzzwords are going to kill me.
But it's true. I mean, they
totally
encapsulate
true, right?
what the process and the function is.
Yeah, 100%. It's just So we basically work to it's my ship navigation analogy that I use a lot with you at work, which is we try our best to create the opportunity maps. We can show you the shortest route from point A to point B. We can tell you all the risk that's involved with going straight there. We can have you navigate around a different, around a different way to get there, and tell you all the risks and opportunities and how it's a little slower, but maybe a little safer. I don't know. I used to use the 3 navigation point thing, where it's like literally like there's a map, and then at the top of the map there's your location you're trying to get to. And if you go straight through the rivers, it's very rough water. You go around the ocean side, there's the mermaids that'll pull you off and distract you. Or you go around the other side, and it's the Pirates Cove, and then you got like people trying to like shoot your ship out of the water. But it's safer than the rapids, and it's that kind of thing. So that's a big part of it too. Mm-hmm.
The navigation isn't always so much of estimates and timelines, but also dependencies, risks.
Yes.
The levers that you can play with when you're augmenting what the schedule looks like. Are we talking resources? Are we talking features? Are we talking time? These are the 3 components that a producer says, these are your options. And that's always been such a benefit to me from your team and from you, has been being able to, prior to bringing on production, right? I'd always heard horror stories about production. And boy, is that specific to the team, because without what you and Jacob and Jonathan and Thomas and Benoit and Kevin, what your team
No,
did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody.
I'm just messing with you.
What your team provides me and the leads with is so important when talking about the overall scheme of bringing something to a milestone completion, right?
That's right.
And knowing when that milestone is going to occur, what are the risks associated with it, where are the dependencies, what are the blockers, helping communicate across teams. You guys are, in a sense, the nervous system of the development body, right?
Yeah, I like that analogy. And that's definitely what we do. And we're blessed to work with like a great team of people. And when we get in there into the trenches with people like the engineers, and we do identify, hey, these design docs they're coming over and they need to be fully spec'd out. We need to do feasibility checks. We need to then load in dependencies on tools and stuff like that. So that is very much what we're talking about with creating those navigation scenarios. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Super
That's
duper
a nice
important.
rundown of the production. Do you guys feel like in the audience that you if you didn't know coming in what production does as part of a development team, do you feel like you have a better understanding now of the role that production plays in creating a thing like Ashes of Creation? Somebody said a product-ton.
And I think like a question that might be handy here, which is like, not a softball one, is more of when you do, encounter issues, how do you guys work on resolving those, right? As things may come up or things may
Well,
not
that's another
occur,
big
how
part
you
of what production does is we
predict
are
them.
literally um, at the forefront of visibility and communication too. So when there are issues and we can foresee them coming, which is part of our makeup, um, if we see those things coming, it's our job to try to pull people in and talk to them. It's what is it? Like, lead by influence, right? Not with teeth. So it's get people in and go, hey guys, this might be a problem. Let's have a chat about what we could do with this, and then identify, like again, some scenarios that might pan out, and we just pick and choose by collaborative means.
All out.
Yeah, very important. Another aspect of production is that they're working constantly with the leads of each department and understanding what a particular sprint entails for their team, right? In helping to kick off that sprint, and and identifying, what it is that the expectancy is at the end of a particular sprint or milestone is going to be from a feature component, from a research component, um, and then incorporating that, translating that to the rest of the team, so that the company as a whole has an understanding of the direction of a particular sprint or milestone.
Well, we're glad that y'all feel like you have a better understanding of it. I know Stephen and I talk about
Y'all.
production a lot, so we wanted to kind of give a face to that as well as a little bit more of a background and understanding of like what it is. And if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to pop those in there. But
Yeah.
we will move on to our design and engineering because we still have quite a few pieces of content that we need to go over today. So tossing over to you, Stephen. First and foremost, what is design and engineering working on? And then I know we have kind of a little bit more of a deep dive that we're going to do on animal husbandry.
Oh, that's right. We're going to talk about animal husbandry. That's scary. Oh my goodness. So,
Keeps
maybe
fixing her blouse.
do we have? Wasn't there? There's
Your
no
hair is there
video.
too. Don't
For the
worry.
animal
You're
husbandry
Oh,
part
for the
first.
animal
you're,
husbandry.
you're
You want me to do
covered.
that now, or
You're
you want me
covered,
to start with
Margaret.
other stuff?
You're
You want me
good.
to design other things.
Whichever one you want to do first.
Okay, yeah.
Giving the overview might be handy,
Sure.
and then we can go into the deep dive.
Absolutely. As you guys have been aware over the last few live streams, we've been talking about the process post Alpha 1 and preparing um, for Alpha 2 has been a lot of work on the design side of going through systems and iterating upon some of those systems and prepping some of the new tools for the Alpha 2 testing period for players to participate with. A big portion of that has been combat, has been class design. I think I have a 3-hour meeting today actually on some of the class changes or hybrid class changes that we're looking to do for Alpha 2. A lot of that stuff has been very fruitful. Having these long discussions with the different design pods.
So this is my first time hearing about Alpha 2
Pods that
talks more.
relate to content, they relate to narrative, points of interest, nodes, combat,
And
economy.
I know the March update has it's about Alpha 2 character creation, so maybe we'll hear some more about it then. I don't know if we're getting a timeline on Alpha 2. I suspect later this year. We'll see.
Itemization, crafting, artisanship. These pods all kind of have purview over what iterations are being made to some of those systems, some of those designs. And then they work closely with engineering to get those things implemented and developed from a feature standpoint. One of the really interesting discussions that we've had in preparation for Alpha 2 has been the rollout of the animal husbandry system. And I know we've talked a little bit about this in the past, what animal husbandry is, what its intentions are, but we really got into some so first of all, let me kind of set the stage just
Beautiful.
so you guys have an understanding. And maybe at some point, maybe post launch of Ashes of Creation, we record all of our design discussion sessions, right? And I think it's really cool to have those things recorded because at some point in the future, it might be an opportunity that we show those recordings. I don't know.
We also
For posterity's sake.
Hold on now.
We also have a bloopers folder where we keep silly stuff that has happened, like funny bugs and things like that we want to share with you guys. Later when it's more fun to make jokes on it because we have a full fleshed game for you to love and to
Absolutely. Yeah.
We can look back on the funny moments.
So let me set the stage for this. So one of our awesome designers, a gentleman by the name, distinguished gentleman by the name of Bucky Collins, he was the main contributor to this proposal on animal husbandry, right? So you have to understand some of these design ideas or changes as they're being presented to the rest of the design team can really get deep into some real world scientific research. And on the animal husbandry side, there was a significant amount of like genetic research and how we can take that genetic element of real life and what what they represent in actual husbandry over into the game. Because in design, first and foremost, you're looking to make something that's fun. But if what you make that's fun can also have some roots in realism in the real world, right? That makes it much more believable. The suspension of disbelief is not as great a barrier. So that oftentimes can be a starting point. So Bucky comes in to the design meeting with, there's about, I don't know, 12 or 13 designers that are sitting around kind of getting ready to hear this proposal, because sometimes the designers will be either listening to the pod alignment or they'll be just kind of looking through our Confluence and just checking out some of the proposal documents as they're getting created. And this particular proposal doc on how to adjust animal husbandry for Alpha 2 was like 20 pages long, and they're supposed to be relatively shorter, but this just had so much reference material.
I love this creature, whatever it is.
That was being brought over into the proposal.
It's pretty awesome.
So Bucky shows up at the proposal meeting, and he pulls out a lab coat, and he puts on a lab coat with his doctor glasses, and he's like, "Good afternoon, everybody. I'll be your presenter today. My name is Dr. Bucky. You may refer to me as Dr. Bucky."
Wait, did he really do this? Don't
Yes,
tell me.
he
Oh
really-
my god, I
he
love
was
you,
amazing.
Bucky. That's
He really-
hilarious.
He
That's
really
so
did it.
funny.
I was dying, actually. It was
That's
so great.
so
It was
hilarious.
so great. So anyways, talking to you guys a little bit about the meat and potatoes of animal husbandry and what you can expect to see in Alpha 2 from this system, right? One of the big components of animal husbandry is going to be taming. We talk about our artisan system, and you guys know this, that it exists within three main.
I'm very interested in animal husbandry.
And crafting. Now, of course, let me caveat this: anything I say here is subject to change. But with that being said, taming is one of the gathering professions that players will be able to use to both locate, capture, and also tame wild creatures in Barrow. Tame creatures.
Can I tame those turtles?
Trained and bred, refined with the animal husbandry profession, right?
Wow.
So genetics in animal husbandry will follow.
Look how cool that is. Seriously, imagine. You could ride that creature.
Model of real life genetics overlaid with magical tools that help understand and influence the process of these breeding of these animals in a fantastical way. Creatures will have characteristics that are determined by their genetics. There will be a multitude of traits that are related to appearance, performance, combat efficacy, even the different abilities that breeders can bring forward in a particular mount or pet, right? So no two creatures in Vero will be the exact same, meaning identical twins, right? You have a stat block that's going to be associated with certain
Wow. Okay.
combat stats or speed stats, endurances, and then you're also going to have ability systems that get overlaid on top of those from a mount perspective, from a pet perspective. You'll be able to breed creatures, study the offspring, and make informed decisions when the features you want to pursue in the next generation become apparent in the offspring you've created. Species will have different traits. Creatures will have a wide variety of traits and characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses within their species. The best version of a species will need to be blended from creatures from many places across Vero, right? So it's not going. There is going to be an element of geographic location being relevant for the creation of certain types of breeds. That's important, and players will have to discover that. For example, the best horse would need speed from desert horses, right? The coat and the health from tundra steeds, and the size and strength of ones that might be in the Riverlands. these types of things go towards creating the necessary offspring that can then create the type of mount you're looking for. And powerful traits will be hidden in rare spawns through rare mutations as well. Um, Mastery in animal husbandry will involve unlocking greater crossbreeding potential between species to create more fantastical creatures, and there's even the potential for entirely new species to be unlocked by master breeders who are pushing the limits. Lastly, once these creatures are actually born, there is an element of raising the creature. So animals need to be raised from birth to adulthood and trained for the intended purposes, either as a mount, a pet, a beast of burden, or livestock, right? Animal husbandry feeds a lot of these different aspects. And you'll be able to specialize your focus as an animal husbandrist. That's a word.
Husbandress.
To one of those particular ends. Players have a
More
multitude
like a
of activities.
rancher. You're like
Or
ranching.
rancher. There you go. Yeah, rancher. A husbandrist. I don't know. I like the husbandrist. No,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Steward.
Multitude of activities to perform, like feeding, cleaning the creatures, taking them out for practice rides, training them to fight monsters, etc. This period is very important, however, the training period, because it will have the greatest influence on the resulting quality of the genetically determined stats and abilities of the creature once they reach adulthood. So basically, as you're discovering these different genetic paths, when pairing different animals and the offspring is born, it will have a window of where a stat block will land, but where it lands will be determined by the training phase, by raising the creature up. And that's going to be an important aspect. So it's just to give you a little bit of insight kind of on where some of these professions are going, especially animal husbandry is a big profession, right? And it lives across two worlds, from gathering to processing, with the taming aspect and then the actual husbandry. And these are things that in Alpha 2 we're going to be needing to collect a lot of data on, because that's something that is going to be important to see how players interact with this, and how relevant is it across our artisanship system. Is there too much of an emphasis on animal husbandry, right? Is that profession just larger than many of the other professions, and having kind of an equilibrium between those things?
Yeah, actually, there were people asking if this was going to be a more, like, a deeper profession versus the other professions, like the comparison, or can they expect all the other professions to have that much?
This level of depth. Yeah.
So that's a great question, and honestly, it was a concern among our design team when we were discussing this, right? And part of boiling down the husbandry profession to something that's more equitable with the rest of the professions, or vice versa, bringing up the other professions to something that's more equitable with husbandry, right? I think the question is a good one. I think we're going to find that out. I think by offering specialization in one of four directions: mounts, pets, livestock, and I can't remember the fourth. I'm sorry. I had like this crazy, and the beast of burdens. I think allowing players to specialize in those directions will mitigate the comprehensive nature of the profession as a whole.
So
right?
there will be like a subsidiary.
Pretty much, you'll be able to specialize in one of those four.
Could
right?
you specialize in all of them, or would you only be able to specialize in one? I just know that people are going to ask.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. So there's going to be some limited function to how many professions players can master. And
That makes sense.
in the husbandry system, that might also be true, right? Where when you choose one of those specializations, you may have some base. You may have some.
I think Final Fantasy XIV allows you to, kind of like how they have with their job system, where you can train in every job with one character, and that's the only MMO I've played that allows you to do that. Really, I think. I mean, the one I played. So it's typical for them to want to limit that. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like maybe they should just let us be able to master everything if we want to. Do we have to make another character just to do that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people think about that, to be honest. I just feel like when at first I thought that I wouldn't like that, be able to do that, and then I go to Final Fantasy and I see that you can do every job on the same character, and I don't know, I kind of liked it, so.
Some base access at a low level across all four, and then as you progress further in one of those, similarly to how we've architected the artisan system as a whole, you will only be able to specialize in one. So, but it is a fair concern, and it is something that Alpha 2 is intended to test.
People are wondering if fish would be included in those breeding. Like, are those considered monsters or creatures?
So there will be
Is it separate
aquatic
from
creatures
fishing?
that are, yeah, there will, well, not specifically fishing, but there are aquatic creatures, both from a pet and mount perspective, um, that you'll be able to breed as well. So
Then beyond that, people had asked, will there be RNG elements, or is it more like what you're saying, where you need to go to these locations and research these places to bring these breeds together?
well, anytime I would imagine we're discussing genetics, there's going to be an element of RNG, right? This is just scratching the surface of what was discussed as part of the system itself, but there are elements of recessive and dominant genes and the discovery of certain types of characteristics that mounts you breed will have based on that RNG element. You can increase the chances there based on proficiency. You can also increase the chances based on method, based on resources. It's not something that is a pie in the sky RNG number, but rather something that you can hone over time.
And then the next question is, in regards to like the recipes for, I don't know if you would call it recipes, but the recipes for breeding different creatures, will there be like a central place for people to share those recipes, or anything like that, or a place where they can sell discovered
Yeah,
information?
that's a good question. I'm not sure that there are going to be recipes per se. Instead, what we're thinking about with the husbandry system is going to be a user interface panel that gives kind of a record of your successes and failures with certain types of breeding attempts, right? And then from there, if you choose to share that information with other individuals, you can, of course, but it's not something that's going to be streamlined through an interface that you would use for the player on their own.
Look, you guys use the word recipe. I'm just copying your question.
Somebody said sexapes.
And for those who maybe didn't catch everything that Stephen had mentioned before, we will have this up on our YouTube channel so you can replay it and relive it, because he did already talk about taming and raising creatures and basically how the system works.
I like how Georgiabild said, "Oh no, what happens to the failures?" Well,
You have a little graveyard in on
you
your
have
freehold.
farms and you use animal byproducts all the times across
There
the
you
farm,
go.
right? You never let anything go to waste.
There you go. All right. Anything else you want to talk about on design front or engineering front before we move on to all of our lovely art that we have?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. And thank you, chat, for
By the way, Brian,
asking a lot of great follow-up questions.
Brian, as you've been, you've been a part of most of the design meetings as well. What is the profession that you are most at home with in an MMO?
Ooh.
Wow, what a great question.
He's like, why do you put me on the spot, man?
No, that's cool.
Well, I know Brian is a huge MMO gamer, so
Yeah, no, that's totally true. You're not gonna like the answer though.
Oh no,
Ooh,
I love
wanna
it.
know the
I want to
answer.
hear it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
It's anything that has to do with the enchanting paths.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you like that answer?
I love enchanting.
Yeah.
Now, are you the type of enchanter that likes to have like a little bit of risk and reward of like possibly destruction, but for return?
Yeah. Well, that that is lineage and that is Ion and
I know.
yeah. Right. As long as it's not pay to win, yes.
Yes, there we go.
I'm fine with losing a weapon forever.
Truly to the people.
I am not okay with like insurance programs where
Oh yeah.
you have to buy like a scroll, and when your sword breaks because you over enchanted it or whatever, you can
No
turn
pay
it
to
into
win.
insurance.
100%. I can't tell you how many times in like a lineage or an Ion or an Archage I had a guild member who's like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna over enchant it," and we're just like, "No, you shouldn't.
Don't do it.
Do you have a backup?" And he's like, "No, YOLO." and
YOLO.
then they'll enchant it, blow up, and we never see him again. He's gone. Just like,
That's
no.
Especially if
hilarious.
you're like you use it on your best in slot item that you had to work really hard to get.
Oh yeah.
Awful.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. That's I mean that's what happens. Everybody here in the
That's
chat,
scary.
they have some over-enchant stan that went and over-enchanted his only piece of gear, blew it up, and never was heard from again.
What about you, Stephen? Do you gravitate towards a specific type of profession?
I don't know why I'm yawning all of a
I
sudden.
like farming. Like I loved just the act of like planting something, waiting for it to grow, and then harvesting it. I especially liked it if there are okay. I'll take this back. So I do like that. I think that's relaxing. Like after I'm out adventuring or something, I just go to my home. I'll literally role play, like sit in my chair or lay in my bed, get some rested experience, and I'll just watch a little YouTube video or whatever. Get up, go check the like grounds. Do I need to pick up some herbs and shit? Excuse me.
Language.
I know. Sorry about that. But then I also love fishing.
Leave you out.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you. I
Also
also
cooking.
like fishing. I think fishing's a lot of fun as well in the games that I've played. Especially like I liked Arcage's sports fishing. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, I kind of like farming. I think farming is my favorite thing to do. I
Yeah,
like
so-
it when you can farm and get a lottery. Like there were in one of the games, there was like a thunderstruck tree, right? And you could put down a bunch of like cedars or whatever. And I always anticipated coming back to the farm, and it's like, huh, am I gonna get a thunderstruck, or what's gonna happen here? And then yeah, you didn't get any. But I do like that aspect.
Yeah, those ones with the mini games, like those are, when I say gravitate towards like enchanting, there's less of a mini game ever in enchanting. It's always recipes and it's collection, right?
Oh yeah.
But doing the mini games that's a lot of fun. That's good times in MMOs.
I have
Oh, yeah.
PTSD from mini games because I used to make mini games and like when I was the designer back in the day, we did a lot of like Flash mini games. So I have qualms. I like playing them as a player, but creating them was a pain. I think for me, I always change it up. It depends on like the class I'm playing and the game that I'm playing and what's the best, like what I'm gonna benefit from the most is what I normally go with. But I do like farming. I feel like farming always ends up being something that's like off to the side. It's not specific to your class stuff. Whereas I find
Ready for this damn game?
being like a leather worker or
Flashy T?
something like that,
Yeah.
to be able to benefit from it for my character.
Still got a ways though, probably. Still got a
I
ways.
see a benefit from any system I interact with.
I mean, if we get an Alpha 2 later this year, next year a Beta 1,
Let's move on to our
then a 2, I mean,
Real quick,
2024,
is, like,
2025,
or is the fox
I don't know.
It is very small. I actually was thinking that, but I didn't think he had time to like rescale it. So I was like, I'm not gonna make him redo the scene. But I was like,
Is that like a
very
pygmy
tiny.
buffalo, or a water buffalo, or a giant
he's a baby.
pocket
He's
buffalo?
a baby bull.
Yes, sir. Yes, they did. They announced that in, was it January or December? One of the two. Yeah, they did. So that'll probably add a bit of time to it, but it'll be worth it, though. It'll be worth it.
He's a teacup
Yeah.
buffalo.
Aww, teacup buffalo. That's actually kind of adorable. We do need little tiny versions. These guys are the coolest. These are my favorite creatures so far. They're just so
Oh, yeah.
cool looking.
I freaking love these.
Chunguses.
The Chungus.
Chungus. That's the name.
Moving on to environment art. You've heard us talk about the Riverlands actually a lot throughout this stream already. If you go back and replay it and put all the pieces together, maybe you'll get bonus points from me.
Imagine if you're like a Beastmaster and you had one of those as your pets.
Right now, and I'm going to show you.
Or just a mount. That'd be just sick.
What our environment team has been working on is.
They're the big chin, like the, you know.
Specifically, they have a lot of things to showcase on the Riverlands perspective. And this is the ancestral home of the Aelin humans, currently home of the Kalar humans. So if you are a Kalar, maybe this will very.
I mean, if you want to play the game sooner, you can.
So I will show you some.
You can be an alpha tester.
Yesterday,
I'm probably gonna wait till they're beta, and then I'll probably jump in on the beta.
pieces that Richmond did.
But alpha, Not really my cup of tea usually.
Of our riverlands that we want to have, but even more so incorporating some additional fantastical elements, right? Like there's
Yeah.
one of my most, and I don't know, you guys obviously are Lord of the Rings fans. You've seen Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
but one of my favorite
Yes.
scenes is in the Fellowship when they're going down that river and they come across those ancient statues that are just like giant statues, and they're like putting their hand out. You remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
scene when they go across
Yep.
those two
We
giant
have
statues?
some big
Oh, I
statues
know,
like that
I
in
know.
game. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some
And
really cool ones.
that like moment to me was super was
Thank you, Skylark, for that feedback. Okay, so compared to mine, here, let me turn it up a bit. The dev, you can tell I'm just a noob streamer, right? Because I still can't get this right. If you give me some feedback now, I just turned it up just a bit. Let's see how it sounds.
was
Like iconic for
really
you.
iconic in that series, right? And having elements that are incorporated as
Because
part of our
so it's hard to tell because because I use headphones, right? So it's pretty loud for me here. I mean, I could turn it down here for myself, but obviously I want it to be loud enough for people to know how to have to blast it on their end.
biomes, right? Not even just from a point of interest
Is
standpoint,
that a
but
little
just
better?
from a set dressing perspective
Should I turn it
the
up more?
territory itself, having big fantastical elements of that, I think lends itself to telling a story of a fantasy realm.
Oh, 100%. It's things
Yeah.
that you can't experience like in real life, right? But still feel almost realistic in a fantastical sense.
Yeah, so this is going to be one of the primary biomes.
More? Sure, I can do that. Let's change it up a bit more. 50%. Wow. Okay. Here, I'll do a little more, and then you can tell me.
I believe there's 8 that are scheduled for
Mm-hmm.
for Alpha 1, and the Riverlands is going to be a big portion of that.
Yes, and
Um,
it is a very extremely like fertile alluvial plain. There's lots
Alpha
of
2, Alpha 2. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I
There's
said Alpha
yeah
1.
Alpha two.
How's that?
Sorry. There's gonna be like a lot of lakes, rivers, estuaries to create networks of like picturesque hills surrounded by vast river networks.
That should
So
be
you're kind
better,
of
but
getting
are
a
we
real
there yet?
depiction of
Is it
those
high enough?
elements in these, as well as the land is kind of broken up regularly with modest forest and little rocky outcroppings, and eventually they'll drain down to a coastal area. So if you look at the whole entire map, you can kind of see where those rivers and those lakes kind of go down to, all reminiscent of classic pastoral farmlands. So very, very fertile lands that will be great for farming, kind of fitting right perfectly into the animal husbandry topic that we were talking about before. This would be a great place to have your creatures kind of like grow up and
It's very green, and I
have
love the
things for them to
green.
eat, and being able to provide a lot of crops and farming for yourself.
For
Okay.
sure.
Moving on from there, we have some PyRai node concept art. These are really rough, so very early stage exploration of these. They're experimenting with a lot of structure types, node layouts, materials, to begin to understand what works and doesn't work. Specifically for the PyRai and the Renkai, we have to keep in mind a lot of the mode.
So when you say the discrepancy is bigger, so in the past I had people tell me that they couldn't hear me very well, so that's why I have the microphone uh, still higher. I have it set to the decibels are higher than the audio. So I guess would I wonder if maybe I should pause it more when I want to talk versus when they're talking. Maybe is that a better strategy? Because if I'm just trying to talk while I'm doing or while I'm listening, Is it like you said, it's too big of a discrepancy, you know? So is it when I talk, you can't hear them at all, versus, I should just pause it maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's something for me to think about. Let me turn it a little more. Okay, let's try it now.
Design limit or the node design limitations, including like racial influence, transfer, layout restrictions, location influence, etc.
No, thank you
these
for
are
the
really
feedback. I
complex problems
appreciate
that
it.
they're trying
You
to
know,
solve, and
I'd
keep
love
in
to.
mind as they're
I'd love to be able to just finally have this right. And the thing is I don't truthfully have a lot of viewers, so I don't get a lot of feedback on that. When you're talking, I turn my phone down a bit. I turn my phone down a bit. When I want to hear the video, I need the phone volume max. Oh, okay. I got you. So you want me to try to match them then? Let's see if I can do that. Well, I mean, I can't, but let's try that. So let's see. Let's try that. I'm gonna keep mine like just a tiny little tad higher, and let's see how it sounds.
building out these areas, especially for the unique races. So early on, they're just trying to kind of test their waters, see where things are, and see where Stephen
That's
wants
beautiful.
to kind of align everything.
Yeah, I think the big
Those
component
colors
here when
right
looking
there.
at these concepts for the PyRai is essentially, um, their architecture is infused almost with
Is that
the
a little better? Is it about
surrounding
equal?
trees and vegetation, right? And then how do we encapsulate that from a node perspective in biomes that may not be forest oriented, right? You're going to have an outcropping of these large tree structures that are integrated with the building types on the footprint of the node itself. So you may have an outcropping of trees in the middle of a desert. How are we?
Thank you. And yeah, it is. It is kind of it is hard, especially because I only do it. I mean, I just do it for fun on the side. I'm not making any money from this sort of thing. It's just something fun, just to interact with people. I've gotten a lot of interaction from streaming updates on this game specifically. So it's cool. It's just fun, just as opposed to just kind of watching it by yourself, which you can always do. It's not equal. I would say if you're at 100%, the video is close to 60 to 75. Interesting. Okay. Let me see.
These are the types of questions that some of these cultures and architectures, the way that the node system is built, that they can exist across a spread of 18 biomes, but at the same time have to represent the cultural influence of these cultures that are intrinsically a part of
I toned mine down below in terms of decibels, and I have the audio a little higher. So let's see.
Specific biome like the PyRai, right? Now, the PyRai are the extreme.
It might also be that my voice, I'm not even trying to talk loud, right? But my voice just naturally projects, pretty well. So, like, I'm an instructor, right, for community college, and I can talk really loud. I don't need a microphone. I can project, pretty easily. So,
example from a culture perspective, because they're the one that's most integrated with this idea of trees. You're looking at this one is
this is the Renkai, yeah.
But
so what do you think
that's
now?
something that these concepts and those concepts were done by Joe, I believe, for the PyRai.
Joe was for the PyRai, and then the Renkai was Ryan.
For the
testing.
For Ryan Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
The Renkai
I wrote it down this time, so I know exactly who wrote it.
Nice.
Who did it.
So green. Very good.
I love it. So green.
Yeah. The same thing is true here with these assets, right? Part of the biome that the Renkai are accustomed to is a more swamp or marsh oriented, right? So they have these almost stilt-like foundations on some of the assets because they're intended to sit above that marsh type area. Well, how does that translate when we're moving into a desert? or it's at a node in a tundra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are elements that have to be taken into consideration as part of the environment's purview of creating a seamless.
So your phone is max volume to listen to the video and me comfortably. So should I? Okay. Maybe now instead of turning the mic down, you would increase mine, as in my voice now, or should I increase my voice or the audio for the video? I should increase mine. Is that what I'm understanding? This is really helpful, by the way. This is really helpful because once I get it, then I can just keep the settings as is on the Streamlabs, and I won't have to I won't have to keep just guessing, just because I mean I can watch my own videos, right, and hear the volume, but that's just from my perspective. It's going to sound differently for other people, right, based on what they have. And a lot of people listen from their phones, so this is definitely very helpful. So you said I would increase yours probably between the two edits. Ideally both, but your voice is a tiny bit more relatively. Okay. Okay, so I should increase both. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to move this up right here. And then okay, let's try this.
Transition between the influences of these cultures and the biomes in which they exist, which can be diverse.
Yeah, so the environment team has been very, very busy. Beyond that, they are obviously are continuing work on, props. So here are some concepts for some wagons for the
How are we doing
balloon that they're
now?
working towards. So you can kind of see a few different versions of this that they're working on.
I totally felt like these were rickshaws.
Testing.
I could
Testing.
Yeah.
Instead of a mount, you have like an
Testing.
NPC character
Just
pulling the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Pull my carriage, sir. And then,
is this?
beyond that,
characters?
we also have, environmental elements like moss and things like that. Those all need to be created. The little tiny things that you
Volume
never
up
think
just a
about,
tad.
perhaps. But we're paying attention to the little details.
Look at
so
that moss.
I know as you're
Amazing.
exploring
Okay.
the world, keep
Oh,
an
that
eye
does
out
look
for
really good.
those pieces because our
That does
artists
look really good.
are
Yeah.
amazing.
I like Era says a mossy house, please. I would take a house with some of that
Ooh.
moss.
I think we have a few houses with moss on them.
Mouses?
That could be a
Mouse?
hobbit.
I almost
Can't
said
have
mouse,
those.
yeah.
Those
No
will eat the
mouses in
cheese
your house.
sandwiches.
And then we have some more Hukilar banners. So
I
think
swear I
it's
should
a
probably,
few of
you know what
these.
I should do? I should just Google this sort of thing. Like I could look up like recommendations, like exact decibels for desktop and microphone. But of course, it's going to matter on your device too. That's the thing. So, and I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get a new microphone at some point. I'll have to adjust these things, get a better one. I mean, this was like what, 30, 40 bucks. I didn't spend a whole lot because I'm not a big time streamer. I'm not going to get a Yeti or whatever people typically get, but I do appreciate the feedback. I do.
But these are more of like the really fancy looking ones. Very beautiful.
Who did that moss?
I didn't have a name for the moss, but I
Character
know
art
Jeff
update.
did the
Margaret.
balloon wagons.
I thought you wrote down all the names.
Well, they didn't give me names for everyone.
Oh, that's sad.
Tisk,
But I could
tisk,
maybe figure
tisk,
it out.
tisk, Margaret.
But yeah,
You're usually on top of things.
let me double check. Figure it out.
Oh no, it's okay. You're fine.
You sure?
Yeah, we can check when we start.
She's not gonna let it go now that he said
yeah, I
that.
think environment
She's
didn't
not
want to
gonna let it
share the names for some of those elements. In the future, I will request that from Tristan.
There we go.
All right, next up. So this one, I don't know if you want to do some prefacing before we reveal something that no one has ever seen before. Yeah, on the character art side.
All right. Let us preface. So, first, this rework of the PyRai character race.
The PyRai.
Spearheaded by
PyRai? PyRai?
Manny,
PyRai?
I believe. That's correct. Yes, yes. And Manny has done a great job with the reveal of the Vec. So to give you a little context, obviously character races are super important, right? These are the choices that we make at the onset of our adventure in an MMORPG. You know, what race, not just mechanically, aligns with our decisions, if those races have game mechanics behind them from a stat perspective, but visually and culturally and historically, you know, what do these races represent? So it's important that visually they're distinct, right? And everyone's seen, you know, fantasy games do elves, so everyone's seen them do humans, everyone's seen them do orcs, right? There's an established kind of expectation almost behind what these traditional fantasy
You didn't
races
mention dwarves,
represent.
Steven. I'm
And
disappointed.
there's a risk, because whenever you're creating
I
a
like the
new
little people.
IP or a new story or a new world, a new universe, a realm in which things don't have to always be the norm, you can take a little bit of creative liberty to redefine some of the aspects of a particular race.
Sure.
And that can be a good thing, because it's something that
Yes,
is
sir.
new to players. It's
Yes,
something
sir.
that is unique to
Could you
the realm that
please?
we're building, the
I increased it on both again
surroundings that you
a
have,
bit.
right? So what we wanted to do was push a little bit more on the unique
How's it
side
sound now?
of what the PyRai would look like
Getting there,
from a visual
getting
perspective.
closer,
Um,
inching closer.
and I believe in Manny's creation that you're about to see here, there were some elements a little bit more closely aligned with being kind of one with nature. And that's, as you saw in the concepts, some of the thought process behind their architecture. And so it would make sense that it would be a thought process included in the actual visual representation of
Testing,
that character race.
testing.
So this is the first time that you will be seeing the PyRai character race.
Okay. Oh.
Let us show it.
It has been shown. So
There
beautiful.
it is.
It's kind of like an elf.
There is the PyRai
but it
character
has
in all her glory. And we also have some of the modeling work we'll show you in a little bit that's
Yeah. A
woodsman
begun
of sorts?
as well. But just to give a little bit more context here. So I can see, I think that you guys like it.
I don't think they like it, Steven. I think they're not fans.
So that is
I do have some questions
good.
that I want to, I know that they're going to ask is, for instance, do I have to have antlers as a PyRai
Sure, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And that is really the predominant characteristic that stands apart between
Maybe you can have
what traditional
smaller
wood
ones?
elves from a fantasy sense
Okay, wood elf.
have
Okay.
been, and what our approach has been with Ashes of Creation. So the answer is yes. Players will have to have some form of these antlers slash,
Secondary side of that, I
bark
know we
structures.
haven't revealed Toolnar things, but how will that be balanced in regards to Toolnar having horns versus PyRai?
Sure, I think that that
How's the
they
volume,
can
Scarlet?
live with each other, right? There's obviously an element of the silhouette that needs to be distinct and unique, because from just the fact that we do have PvP in the game, you always want to offer a visual threat assessment, knowing the characters you're coming up against.
Okay, so you like the ratio, you just want the volume overall higher. Wow, fairly significantly too. Okay. Okay, let's increase it some more. This is the first time I've had anyone tell me to increase it this much, so I'm gonna increase it some more. Let's see what happens. I'm willing to
Right from a distance.
try
Horns
out.
can be a part of that
Ooh,
visual
I'm getting in the
silhouette,
yellowish right now.
but I
That's the
think they'll
feedback
be
I'm
distinct
getting.
enough
But
that players will be able to recognize the difference.
if you say so.
Additional of note, you asked players are
Let's
interested,
try it.
do they
How's it
have to
now?
have these? They do.
Mhm.
It's pretty
However,
high now.
from a character customization standpoint, these will be adjustable, right? Their length, their size, their width, their color, whether or not they'll have features like flowers that can bloom on the actual antlers, if they have buds,
Is that
right?
loud
How do
enough?
those antlers interact with climates as you move into them, right? Do they bloom in a
The artists
temperate
are losing their
zone?
minds right now. They're
No,
like, Steven,
no. We
Steven?
have already
Langford's over
showed
there like
this feature.
production feature stuff.
That's been scoped
Well,
already.
you
We've
know,
already
Just
yes,
trolling.
If
we
it
have
is,
already scoped that. Remember, if
then
you guys will
I'm
recall,
sure someone will say
two
something.
live streams ago, we showed what's the little
Patriarch
turtle
Sin,
dude's
could you
name?
make the variation of
Terrapin?
the
Is
Tolnar
that the terrapin
fish
turtle?
or
The
goblin
terrapin
type?
turtle.
Terrapin turtle.
We show terrapin tortoise. We
Oh, thank you,
showed you
Skylar.
that with
That's a good
different
question.
weathers
Question,
and
Patriarch.
time
I'm
of
not
day,
100% sure on
that
that one.
the effects around the
I wonder
little
if that's
tree stump, right, changed. The same can be true potentially for character races
I like
as
goblins.
well. And as an example,
They're
having flowers
pretty
that might
sneaky,
bloom on these antlers,
tiny.
I think
I
would
like
be an
little
interesting
people in
component.
general.
Maybe
So
they're
it's
bioluminescent,
pretty
right?
cool
Maybe
race.
you can unlock these types of character features.
I think they're definitely trying to take a little bit of creative liberties, as he was saying earlier, with some of these race ideas. And I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's obviously a little bit of risk, but because of what people are used to. But generally speaking, I mean, dwarves are going to be short and stout, So as long as they give enough customization, I don't see a problem with it.
In the game as well. But anyways, those are adjustable. And players can play with them. And as a matter of fact, they don't have to be symmetrical either. They can be asymmetric in those adjustments. I think that'd be interesting as well.
You're a backer,
let's take a look at the.
Awesome, man.
Let's take a look at.
Have you when you're a backer, you say, have you played like the alpha? Have you played it? Oh, yeah. Scott, there's no winning with this thing, because I mean, Margaret she's soft, she's feminine. Of course, she's gonna be quieter, and Steven is, louder, more excited, and he's gonna draw me out a little bit. So, okay, increase mine some more. Let's do it. You have 2 alpha keys. Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Did you play? Are you a backer? Did you play Alpha 1, or are you going to play Alpha 2? Which I'm assuming is later this year. I did see all the videos and whatnot from Alpha 1 last year, so I did increase the mic a little bit more. I'll do it slightly. Steven is just obnoxiously loud, and Margaret is soft, sexy, and feminine. So
Look at the
Right.
model of this.
Yeah.
The work now. Keep in mind, this is work in progress. So
I'm a little people fan, so I like dwarves, I like halflings, goblins. I'm such an idiot. I misread what you said. You said I have Alpha 2 keys. I thought you said I have 2 alpha keys. Obviously, that's Alpha 2.
the model component here is.
I'm probably
is
gonna
still being
do
created in preparation for
a
Alpha
beta.
2.
That's probably what I'll
And
do.
this is just a rough
This is just a
blockout.
sculpt. Yeah.
Yep. This is a sculpt that was it Atkins that did this, or who's
No,
doing this?
this is the same. This is
Manny
both,
as well.
Yeah, this is both
Awesome.
Manny, I believe.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So this is the model starting to get worked on.
I've never
You'll
played
see this be very close.
Wood
to
Elf
the
race in any
image you
game
just saw,
before. I'm not opposed to it. I
once it's
just
complete.
tend to go with what I
And
normally
then once we
like.
get it hooked up and put into
Probably
the
a
character
dwarf.
customizer,
To start,
we're
at
going
least.
to be able to see just the level of flexibility and customization that's going to be provided by our engineering character teams. They're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Skylar. Appreciate it.
Yes, they are.
And thanks for tuning in.
Beyond that, and I'm sure we're going to get your guys' feedback on that front, so I'll have the community managers put up something for you, but we'll definitely want your feedback on this beauty, so definitely let us know what you think.
I applied
Absolutely.
for the content creator program for Ashes of Creation. I'd love to be a participant in that. I think it'd be really fun, and especially because of the a lot of the fan excitement behind this game. I've been following you guys for a while about the Alpha 2 pack, but I'm a valid guild master across many major MMOs, but your game is the MMO I believe will put all the others in there. So it's not my game, just to be clear. I'm just a casual gaming dad. But this is the stream, from the developers. But yeah, it's very. I discovered this game last year, so I'm pretty excited about it, and I like the development so far. So I'm very interested. I'm gonna keep watching it. I don't usually get to watch the streams as they do them each month, so I usually play catch up 1 or 2 months later. So, but it's very exciting. It's very exciting. I hope you enjoy the Alpha 2. Alpha's just not really for me. It's not for everybody.
By the way, you guys
Beta,
gave
though,
great
that's a
feedback
different thing.
on the VEC and the character races post last stream.
Nice.
So, by all means, please go give some commentary as you did before on our Reddit.
You know how I found that? I found the game was actually... I saw a video on YouTube recommended to me on Asmongold's YouTube channel. So I'm trying to put words together here. So it was just recommended to me, and I saw he reacted to one of their developer streams last year, and I watch his videos sometimes. So I saw that, and I'm like, what is this game he's talking about? I never heard of it. So I watched that video, and it got me interested, and so I started looking into it more, and that's when I started following it and whatnot.
It on our forums, on Twitter, whatever.
I think that was like May of last year.
And tell us what you think about the PyRai. Is this
Forums
a race
is definitely
that
the
you would wanna
easiest
play?
for us to consolidate the feedback. So if you can post there, that would be super handy for
Hey,
our
but
team.
I want them everywhere.
They can be everywhere. We're going to gather it. It's just I'm
Everywhere.
letting them know it's the easiest for us to gather when it's on our forums.
I like it when they share across their social medias and
For sure.
people get to see things that they might not see if they're just on our forums. So go and talk about it.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have some updates for our Kalar Renkai based on some of the feedback that you all provided. So I'll start with the Kalar. And we have our female version, which is the first time we're showing her updates as well.
Oh, so these are some of the skin updates, yeah?
Yes. And the first time they're seeing the female Kalar.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
with the new updates.
The
Yeah.
redone. Yeah. I love her hair.
Yeah.
Hair is
Her hair's
good.
really pretty.
Skin update's great.
I don't remember what it looked like before, so it's kind of hard.
Did they have
do a
those
side
types
by
of
side.
bikinis in the Middle Ages?
I don't think so.
Brian,
those are
did
like
they-
We're gonna change it up.
briefs.
No,
I don't know.
I'm
You wanna
just-
go research it?
kidding. Just-
Research bras. Go.
Medieval bras.
I think I
Medieval
have actually
bikinis.
searched that before for a purpose of something like this before.
Dang, those are pretty bare
That's
bones.
funny.
Her nips are hanging out there.
All right. Then we also have.
Somebody said, "LOL, people pooped in buckets, dude." Did they in buckets? I don't know if they'd waste a good bucket like that. I just think they did outside.
They just open their window, poop out the window.
There you go. Or in a hole.
There was just a big hole
Next
for
up,
the
we
whole
have
village.
some Renkai updates as well.
Big boys.
Oof. Look
Big
at him.
He looks so good.
He's a chunky boy.
He's a beefcake.
Beefcake.
Yes, he is.
Beefcake for sure, Margaret.
He's a beefy.
Beefcake.
He's a beefy one. Yeah, I like the influence. Almost what appears to be somewhat scaly
Mhm.
on the arms and the back and the skin a little bit. I mean, it looks like he may have some type of influences of Dragonborn in his lineage or something. I don't know. That's maybe something people can theorize about or chat about if the Renkai
Steven dropping
or
the riddles and the
their
hints.
parent race, the Kaivek,
Dropping the riddles and the
had
hints.
some history with a dragon at some point.
Maybe.
Maybe. I wonder.
I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
It's
Yeah.
really funny because someone asked us in PI, they're like, "Are they dragons?" And we're like, "You don't know."
Yeah, and doesn't their banner also have a
Reptilian of
dragon
sorts.
in the
Maybe.
iconography?
Maybe.
That's interesting. It's an interesting take, an interesting idea. We have to explore that one a little bit.
Okay. Beyond that,
It could
we
just
do
be
have-
dry skin.
It could just
Maybe he
be
needs some lotion. This guy needs a bath.
No, it's not eczema. know because
Beyond
I
that,
have it.
we've got some new stuff to show you on the costume front. Obviously, our artists not only are creating new models and updating models, but they're also working on all of the costumes and items that you can achieve in game. This is one of the summer backer
Yeah.
items, but
What was
you get
this
to
one
see
called?
Majesty.
The Majesty.
costume. Yes.
I love the shoulder work. That big
It's like a
pauldron
doll.
thing.
Yeah, I like the iridescence in it too. It's really nice.
The metal. There's the metal material looks good.
And you can see it how light affects it too, which is really cool.
It's very cool.
Yes. And then we don't always show a lot of these work in progress ones, but I think this one will be fun for you guys to check out, which is our little mushroom one, the Mascarian Marshalls version.
What the
But
heck?
this is kind of getting to see the early versions of
I'm gonna wear a fungus on my
how
head.
they create these costumes and then what they turn out to be.
So if he's hungry, can he just start eating his
Eating-
hat?
That'd be great.
I mean, I like mushrooms,
like,
on my pizza.
Carve a
and
little
stuff.
piece off and make like a
But-
portobello mushroom sandwich or something.
Ooh, portobello
sounds yummy.
mushroom
What kind of
burger,
mushroom is that?
cheeseburger. Mm.
I don't know.
With meat too.
Toadstool.
Just to be clear,
toadstool.
with the
big
meat
though.
too. But the mushroom on top of the patty.
A mushroom nerd out there will know.
There you go.
The next one is, and the final one that we'll be showing is the Balmain.
Ooh,
This is the bearded Balmain.
wow,
Oh, look at
Not
that
Belle.
guy.
Yeah.
interesting.
And I
Kind of a
believe
chunky
this one you
horse.
designed, Steven.
Chunky horse.
Yeah, it's a long. Maybe I was watching like a Charlie. Charlie,
Charlie!
Charlie, shut the non-believer.
Oh my goodness. But very cool, very different. As you guys know, we make some strange creatures sometimes. This one's not as strange as some of them, but
Yeah,
It's
it's not that
a long-
strange.
So maybe there's like two people. Those horse costumes.
yeah.
That's what I feel
There's
like.
one
this
person
is.
on one side.
One
the other.
dude's just like keeping his distance, and that's why it's so long.
To me, what's more weird is that he has like a
Ugh,
cat tail.
Gosh, you need to stop yawning.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
You're
actually
like,
true.
yeah, I designed that.
It's because he's so
That's really
long, and because of that
very
length,
weird
he needs
tail.
something to balance a little bit. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like it.
No hair on the tip of the
All right.
tail, maybe? I
And
would have
then
expected
With
that.
that, we will head on to our Q&A.
Okay.
So I will try.
I don't usually listen on the Q&A, so I'm probably going to stop with that. But tomorrow, let's take a look here. Tomorrow we have, I'm going to be covering this here. We have the development update, and they're going to discuss the Alpha 2 character creation. So that's going to be pretty exciting because we'll get to see some updates there. I don't know if it's going to tell us when the Alpha 2 is taking place. Maybe, maybe not. That would be a little optimistic, but at least it tells us that we're getting a little bit closer. We get to see more of those customizations. I'm happy to see that their channel here is growing. When I first joined it last year, I think it was maybe just at 100K, so it's growing quite a bit. That's good to see. There's more people learning about the game and whatnot, so that's exciting. But that's going to be it for today. Overall, my thoughts are, animal husbandry definitely seems like a profession I could get behind. I love animals. I like beastmasters, hunters, that sort of class. So for me, I think that would be really enjoyable, collecting different pets, mounts, creatures you can use to help you fight in battle. I think that'd be really cool. And the PyRai, I don't know. I don't usually make elves as much. That's like one of my brother, he does that. He loves elves, I like the little people more, so. But, I think it looks cool. I think if you like elves and you're okay with the wood elf fantasy, that you'll like it. It seems pretty cool. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. So I'll be back tomorrow afternoon to cover the development update from last month. So thanks for joining me. And Skylark, if you're still there, appreciate the feedback. And I hope it works out and you have a great rest of your day. Alrighty, bye-bye.